Good morning and welcome to Daily Miles. Do me a solid, smash that like button down below, and while you're down there, hit the subscribe button for more content. On today's agenda, my friend and lovely companion, Charlotte. She also has an Instagram account, so I'll throw it up on the screen. She has some lovely images you should go look at, and she used to do some lovely artwork, but I haven't seen that recently. Anyways, I just had an amazing breakfast and a lovely walk and talk with her. She's fabulous. She's actually from my hometown, Woods Hole, Massachusetts. So thank you very much for breakfast, and it's time to get back on the road, kiddies. Let's get started. So while we're taking a stroll down memory lane, once upon a time, Jesus, traffic on this road is nasty. Once upon a time, I used to live on this road, right there. As a matter of fact, no, sorry, my bad, right there. Let's back up. Let's back up just a little bit. Right there. I used to live right there in that house. So there is something very unique about that house. There's a backyard, per se, if you want to call it that. And the house is unremarkable. It really is. That's not the exciting part. The exciting part is what's in the backyard. Now, if I could show it to you, I would, but I'm not going to. Mostly because probably the owner is not home because he's off doing his thing. Anyways, to make a long story short, what's in the backyard is what could rudimentarily be called a shed. It's like a garage on steroids, and what's in that garage or that shed is of crystals, and some of those crystals are just out of this world. They're huge. They're monster sized. They're crazy. And I used to live in that house. And that guy used to zip off to Arizona every once in a while and come back with more crystals. These crystals were huge. When I say huge, I mean person-sized. Huge. And he'd have a truck back up with all those crystals. I mean, they easily weighed 10 or 20,000 pounds. Easily. And he'd load them in. And then a couple of days later, somebody else would come along and buy them, and they'd load them out. He made quite a good living like that. Anyways, so we're coming up here to a place that I used to do. Well, I'll explain. Once upon a time, I used to live in Mill Valley a long time ago. This is just before Tango started. And I used to spend a lot of time at this particular parking lot because there was a Starbucks here. And over time, what ended up happening was I ended up making friends with a lot of the business owners in this area. And at that point in time, I had a software business, and that software business was making websites, basically, creating software so that they could create their own websites, or hosting their websites and whatnot. And one of those businesses, I ended up doing a corporate ID project for. You're gonna love this part. It's so fucking hysterical. It's not even funny. You're gonna love this part. Okay, here we go. Ready? So remember, I used to do corporate ID projects. Hi, Future Miles here. As it turns out, the camera, my phone ran out of space and the camera stopped rolling. However, it did capture two things that I want to show you. So look right here. Look right there. This is one of my very last corporate ID projects, Cafe del Sol. And the whole reason why I'm showing you this is because of this next piece, and I actually went into this, but unfortunately you can't see it until you look right there. Look at that wheel well. Look at that van. You know what it is? That's a Ford Transit Connect, about 2012, and it's wrapped in my corporate ID. And apparently they're still using this, even though on their website, if you go to Cafe del Sol, they have a completely different logo on their website. However, they're using Cafe del Sol with my corporate ID project all over their marketing and all over their packaging. So there you go. Anyways, this is a cafe that's in Sausalito. I'm sorry, Mill Valley. And it's run by China Kennedy and her best bud, Reggie, and I can never remember Reggie's last name. My apologies, Reggie, if you see this. Anyways, lovely people. When I stopped in, they were in Florida opening up another Cafe del Sol, so I didn't get to say hello. Anyways, lovely cafe. If you're ever in Mill Valley, you should probably go take a look at Cafe del Sol. All right, now, back to the video. Well, that was a bust. Yeah, neither China or Reggie are home. They are currently opening a new location in Florida. China Kennedy owns Cafe del Sol, and I met China solely because I was working at, not working, I was working in, not in Starbucks, but not for Starbucks, and doing my thing, and she was opening up her store next door, and we became friends. And she's like, I need a website. And I'm like, okay, well then, here's a website. And that's how we became friends. And then she needed a corporate ID, she needed the whole 9 yards, so I ended up designing Cafe del Sol. I ended up designing their corporate ID package. They no longer use my, well no, obviously they clearly use my corporate ID package on all their packaging and on their branding, but nothing else, so. That was my little stint in Mill Valley. Time to get back on the road and hit the highlights, my friend. Time to get going. Hee hee, ho ho, ha ha. Something like that. All right, let's get on the road. Every morning when I was in my tango phase, I have to look at that right there. That building, that series of buildings right there. Every morning when I would leave the Vista Point, after I would finish uploading my notes from the night before, when I was, learning tango, I would then come to that Starbucks over there. I don't think there's a Starbucks anymore, but I was just pointing at that building because I was there every morning, and that's where I would shower or clean up, as it were, and make nice with the world so that I didn't stink for my 10 o'clock lesson with Charity and Sean over in the East Bay. Today's story while I'm driving north, and it's going to be a little bit, about 15 minutes till I get to Petaluma. And today's story deals with some oddities when I moved to Marin County. One of those oddities is I was invited to a Halloween party. Now, mind you, when I am involved in large groups of people, if I don't know anybody, I tend to shut down. If I know people, then I become very boisterous, let's put it that way. And this is all without alcohol because I haven't had a drop in 20 years. So I get invited to this Halloween party. And I go to the party, and I know like a couple of people, but not a whole lot, and not very well. And I sit down on this couch, and I'm basically just listening to conversations. I'm not really interacting with anybody, I'm just hanging out. And I've got a drink in my hand, and the drink is cranberry juice. This is my drug of choice when I'm out because it looks like wine. And I'm sitting there listening to these two women talk, and there's a space between them and myself. And then this woman dressed in this very scantily clad costume, and she is buxom as the day is long. Oh my God. And she comes and she sits down right next to me. Now, mind you, there's like a couple of inches between us, but it's pretty clear there's space between us, all right? The space part is kind of sort of important. Now, I should back up and tell you that living in Marin County, when I was here, was always odd or strange for me. I just kept attracting these people that were just off. And there's no nice way to put that. They're just odd people. And for years, I couldn't figure out why that happened. And the reason why it happened is because I was one of those odd or strange people, and I attracted odd or strange people. And I just exuded that energy of odd, strange, and here, come talk to me because I'm odd and strange as well. Not much has changed, actually. Anyways, so there I am. I'm sitting there just listening to the conversations, and the very buxom, beautiful woman her foot touches mine, and I should point out to you that she doesn't say anything to me. Not a word. Not a hello, how are you? It doesn't introduce herself. Just sits there with a happy smile on her face. She doesn't smell of alcohol or drugs in any way, shape, or form. So she might be tripping and doesn't realize what she's doing. So I'm just hanging out, yada, yada, yada. Every once in a while I look over and I smile at her, but I basically just keep to myself. And then her knee touches mine. And it's quite deliberate. She doesn't say anything. And then a little while later, her knee starts moving, and it moves with my knee. Okay, it doesn't say anything, and I don't say anything. All right, okay, well, whatever works for you there, baby. And then she puts her hand on my knee, and then she looks at me, and she gives me one of these looks. I'm like, what the fuck is that about? She then puts her hand on my thigh and starts rubbing my thigh. And then she moves very close to me and then puts her head on my shoulder. And again, doesn't say a word. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever works best for you. Her hand starts grazing my crotch. Now, I'm a man. I haven't had sex in a pig's age at this point in my life. And she's rubbing. Let's put it that way. What you think is going to happen is not going to happen. Just bear with me a moment. So, she starts rubbing, and I'm a man. I respond. My body responds without me necessarily, and I'm not saying anything about it. And then it gets very turgid, and I get very embarrassed, and it's right at this particular point that she looks at me, and then she starts yelling at the top of her lungs, "He's raping me!" What? I'm like, I got up and I walked away. And then the guy who invited me to the party, he comes over to me and he says to me, "You're now officially a member of the community." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because she does that with everybody. Every new guy that walks in the room, she does exactly that same thing. I just watched the whole thing. Don't worry about it. You're good, baby." What the fuck? Oh my God. That was just crazy. And that was just one of like a whole landslide of things that happened to me when I was in Marin County.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into iOverlander. Map. All right, here we go. I had a shower. That's what these blue dots here, those are shower indicators. So I had a shower yesterday, courtesy Tanya. So I don't need another one for a little while, but it's always nice to have another one. So I could go spend the night in Santa Rosa, Howarth Park. Parking lot with porta potties in the lot. Got a knock at midnight, no overnight parking according to a park ranger. Yeah, not going down that road. Okay. And then this guy, oh, yeah, that's definitely not going to happen. In an emergency, well, it's not an emergency, so let's move on. So, goodbye, Santa Rosa. That's not going to happen. Windsor. There's a Walmart there. But it's grayed out, which means that it's closed. Yeah, no overnight parking. Russian River Brewing Park. We stayed here for one night, and it was great. Keep in mind, this is the Windsor location, not downtown. Santa Rosa, we went in, sat in the bar. Okay, that's not going to happen. West Windsor Soccer Park. Oops, go away. Pretty quiet street, no restrictions posted next to soccer fields. Didn't see any restrooms. Spent a night there, uneventful. Some loud sound coming from the park cabin, like a machine or something. There was another van for the night there too. Overall, very, very safe, very okay. I would recommend it. Yeah. Let's go up the road a piece to Healdsburg and see if that works. Farmers Market. Large municipal parking lot. I like the sound of that. That's a possibility. And that guy parking on Healdsburg Ave. That's not ideal. Quiet spot, even better. Maybe not. Let's see what's in the area. Let's pull up Google Maps and go look at Healdsburg. How far up the road is that? That's about 31 minutes up the road. And is there a grocery store? Yes, there is. There's a Safeway. Not ideal, but it will do. I need to do a full resupply, so I guess this is probably where I'm going to go. So I guess we're going to do this tomorrow. Alrighty, kitties. I think that's enough yapping from me today. Now you have a plan of where, what I'm doing. Sort of, kind of, maybe. Alright, I'm going to pull out of here and hit the road. Get to my destination for the night. Which isn't really a whole lot of destination. It's not, it's just a parking lot. It's a soccer park. But there is a bathroom there, and I desperately need to use a bathroom. So, I'll go shopping at Walmart tomorrow and be on my merry way north. Probably to Eureka. Thanks a bunch for watching. Have yourselves a great day. Look forward to seeing you in the next Daily Miles. Bye.